Hey, what's up, universe? It is Monday, January 11th, 2021. This is going to be episode 14 of It's a Choice. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about a couple of things that came up yesterday that just kind of set me on like this rabbit trail of thought. So just bear with me if you would, and we'll just kind of see where this goes. So Saturday night, I went to bed, and I had a dream, and I woke up yesterday morning, and I allowed myself to choose to like interpret this dream a certain way, or at least really kind of just question myself in some ways, or just put myself in a state of fear, honestly, because of the circumstances in which I found myself, and with the dream, it just seemed very rattling to me, and I'm keeping it vague for a reason. But anyway, the point being that I was choosing fear on that. And then coupled with this, I was in a men's call yesterday and was sharing some of this about my dream, and then the man who runs this program that I'm in for the next, 6 weeks maybe. We've gotten to know each other. The program's been running for a little while, and yesterday's whole point of our call was around integrity, and he spoke to me about my current life situation and how he was seeing it, and how he felt that there were things in my life that were very, very much out of integrity. And one of the things that he called out specifically just struck me. And again, I'm going to be vague on that as well, because the point really is that I woke up in interpreting this dream a certain way, and already had choosing some emotions and fear around that. And then to have this integrity piece come up in this call was kind of a 1-2 punch in a way, and I was really questioning some things. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me in the way of the integrity piece, because I always felt aligned with my choices. It's the whole reason, for this podcast, and like how I follow my intuition. Now, I'm not saying I do that all the time, but definitely have been practicing it over the last 14 years or so, and really making it a point to go ahead and follow my gut. So especially recently, over the last handful of months, I feel like I've been very present with that. And so I took on his criticism in a way, or his critique. It wasn't like a critical critique, it was constructive. But I still chose to take that on and question myself. And I sat with this like most of the day. And like, I'm going to tie this into what made me kind of question some of this and kind of come out of it as well, is I listened to David Deda's The Way of the Superior Man like twice over this past weekend, and then I started reading Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now just last night, and got about 70 pages into it. So as I sat with these emotions and the things that I knew I was choosing, and reflecting on David Deda's book and Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, I was starting to realize that I was fearful of the future as far as like responses, and then I was also fearful of the past, because that's how I was interpreting what this man had said to me, was through a filter and lens from a past. So I was very much not present in the now, as what Eckhart Tolle would say. And it was a choice, right? And so what it got me thinking of is, today for the podcast as well, is like will, right? We hear about this a lot. We have all got our personal, will, free will, and all of that. And so if we look at Wikipedia for a definition of like the philosophical definition of will, it reads, will generally is the faculty of the mind that selects, at the moment of decision, a desire among the various desires present. It itself does not refer to any particular desire, but rather to the mechanism responsible for choosing from among one's desires. Within philosophy, will is important as one of the parts of the mind, along with reason and understanding. It is considered central to the field of ethics because of its role in enabling deliberate action. And of course, this kind of got me, the way my mind works is definitely through the different media that I've consumed. So it got me thinking about like The Usual Suspects, the movie The Usual Suspects. And there's a line that's always stuck with me from that movie. And it goes, to be in power, you didn't need guns or money or even numbers. You just needed the will to do what the other guy wouldn't. And in the movie, when Kevin Spacey is speaking that line, he stresses that, the will. He stresses will in that line. And then this made me think also of Season 1, Episode 2 of Mr. Robot, where Tyrell Wellick quotes this. He says, "Power belongs to the people that take it. Nothing to do with their hard work, strong ambitions, or rightful qualifications. No. The actual will to take is often the only thing that's necessary." And what my point for bringing those things up is that it goes to the idea of power and will, and of course willpower, and then our ability to choose, and then it just tying it in with being present, to choose to be present, and the whole idea of the now versus future tense of things or the past tense of things, neither of which exist, and to choose that did allow me to just be more obviously accepting of the situation, which really turns out to be nothing. Like, there's nothing to be fearful of, and there's nothing to be, like, obviously reliving from my past. So to just be present, which is one of my other friends said. I had a female friend that I spoke with yesterday and kind of filled her in on what I was coming up with, and she goes, "You just be more present," is what she told me. And so I found this all very interesting, to focus my will and choose that focus and put my will towards being more present. And this is why I did stop practicing astrology, is because my relationship with astrology was rooted in wanting to understand the past and the future. And I found myself second guessing the universe all the time. And I just finally recognized it for what it was, as an unhealthy relationship to this whole idea of time, and me using a mechanism or a mechanic of astrology to try to gain glimpses of insight from the past and the future, which all sounds good. I mean, it's all very hopeful, right? But it's not, ultimately. It was very addictive for me, and then also it took me completely out of the present, and was always focused on one direction or the other, and never the now. Never the what is. Like, the only thing is the now, for sure. And, of course, speaking of that, reminds me of Spaceballs. If you guys haven't seen Spaceballs, there's a clip, you can YouTube this, that when will then be now. And it's humorous. I find it entertaining. That Mr. Robot scene with Tyrell Wellick, you probably won't find that on YouTube. The Usual Suspects one you can find on YouTube. And then there's another line from Mr. Robot as well, Season 2, Episode 4, where Leon and Elliot are sitting at a table talking about chess, and Leon asks Elliot if he dreams, if he wants to be here, and he's not talking about like here, he's talking about here in the cosmic sense, and that's a great scene as well. So just throwing a little bit of media into this whole choice podcast. Definitely I've chosen to watch a lot of different media. Anyhow, that is more or less kind of where I'm at and what I've got. This is just a short, sweet one about choosing your will. What are you going to focus on? Like, where are you choosing to be? I don't know. For me, it was easy to slip into the future and the past, and it still obviously is, but it's fun to entertain the now more than I have. So I'm choosing that. And it is a practice. All of this stuff's a practice. Anyway, this again will just be short. That's what I got. Thank you all for listening, and I will catch you next week. All right, go live an inspired life so you can inspire others to live their inspired lives, because at the end of the day, living an inspired life is a choice. All right, love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.